All right, and we're live with a very exciting panel discussion today with some true visionaries and titans here in South Florida. As we let everyone join us and tune in, I'd like to go around to each one of you, beginning with you, Jessica, what your biggest takeaway has been from these past 8 months and how you're going to apply that into 2021.
Wow, big question, big year. Thank you for including me in this amazing panel. I see some new friends and some old friends. What my biggest takeaway is definitely this has been an opportunity to reset, rethink, and reprioritize absolutely everything. I have just re-looked at everything in a whole new way. I've reprioritized everything in a whole new way. And this is an opportunity to take risks. This is an opportunity to do new things. And it's an opportunity to be unafraid about kind of what you wish to do for the future. Because everything has changed. Life has completely changed, and it's not going to go back to the old ways. It's going to be a whole new world. So I think it's for me, it's been really important to consider what I want my world to look like, what I want my business to look like, what I want, me as a mother to look like moving forward.
Jessica, thank you so much. Gary, over to you. Thoughts there?
Thank you for having me. I do feel sorry for a lot of people that are going through a lot on these times, especially the ones who lost their family. It's tough times. But for me, and I don't want to sound, I don't know how to say it, it's been a blessing because I got to spend so much time with my kids, which is what I love the most. And my business has grown exponentially. Very strange, but there's a huge interest in contemporary and modern masters these days. Art has become an essential part more than ever, because people are really understanding what the importance of art in their lives today, that they have more time to do this. And yes, like Jessica said, it's not going to be the same. We have to rethink over how to approach next year or the next few months. The vaccine will change a lot of our lives again, but we have to think what we really want to do, not only in our business, of course, in our private lives, and keep going. These are challenging times, and I love challenge. It's what makes my life enticing. I just wish that a lot of people that lost their business and families, and they get better, and they will get better with time. That's all I want.
Thank you very much, Gary. Raimundo, over to you.
Hey, April. Again, thank you for having me again in one of your fantastic webinars. One of my takeaways, I agree with Gary. I mean, it's like the family side of this whole pandemic. It's been a great and totally new experience. I mean, we've been forced to stay home, to work at home, and so it's been challenging, but at the end, it was been very grateful that we passed that, and it was a great experience. And on the work side, and it's been that's been a very big challenge, but it's also been a great opportunity to change the whole system. How can we keep in showing the project, showing them in the real estate, how going to virtual in 2 weeks? I mean, it's been and learning how to use the tools. Then it's all new technology, and so that's I think the main thing. And the good thing with that is that at the end, it's going to stay with us. It's going to stay, and the way that people are going to live and work, it's going to be totally different, and I think it's going to stay forever.
Very well said. Thank you, Raimundo. Troy, over to you.
Sure. Thank you for having me on today. I'm really excited about the the group of panelists that are here and being able to speak on your platform. For me, I would say really it gives us it's given us time to really focus on the things that are most important to us, and mostly I would say family, and really like thinking about life and what you mean to the people around you and the people closest to you. And obviously we're having a chance to, spend a lot of time with family and, reevaluate, the way that what's most important, to us. And again, this technology wise, it's really pushed us into, 2021, 2030 almost. I mean, sometimes we have to be pushed, from with technology in order to move forward. So I think it's just changing the world and the way we do business, the way we create, the way we relate to each other and connect with each other, So, I mean, I just think it's formulating relationships that are going to be here for a long time and in a way that really, I guess we didn't expect to have so soon. So that's really what I've gotten from the past few months.
Troy, thank you very much. Last but not least, Umbretta.
Well, again, thank you so much, April, for having me on this wonderful panel, and thank you to all of you for being here. I think you all said it all pretty much. Definitely agree with Jessica in terms of reassessing, prioritizing. In terms of takeaways for me as a curator, as an art professional, a lot of what I do and what I love to do is to travel and visit exhibitions and biennials and fairs, etc. And it's very much part of the essence of what we do. I think being stuck for 8 to 9 months made me understand that there's actually a lot that we can do remotely. I mean, as much as nothing will ever replace being able to see artwork in person. And I was so happy when, museums finally reopened and I could actually go into an artist studio and talk to the artists in person instead of being, mediated by a screen. But I think definitely something that I'm going to apply is to consciously travel less. I've been very involved with sustainability practices. I've been reading and doing a lot of panel discussion with artists that are really thinking and talking about how can we all be in the creative industry, how can become more sustainable. And so I think there are takeaways in terms of, again, reducing our own carbon footprint by traveling less, using certain material, being more focused and more diligent about upcycling and recycling. So all very practical lessons that I learned. And I also learned that I can live with a lot less than I thought I needed. And I think that's probably applicable to, for many of us. So, obviously family and work, and really understand how I can also pivot my business and my practice to more, online content, and how can I really take advantage of this new technologies.
Umbretta, thank you so much. And thank you to each one of you for joining us today. We are certainly looking forward to a very exciting hour together discussing art and real estate. And just what a tremendous group that we have here, going back through Raimundo Oneto, Principal and CEO of Alta Developers, Jessica Goldman-Sembrick, CEO of Goldman Properties and founder of Goldman Global Arts, Gary Nader, gallerist collector, Umbretta Agro, freelance curator, Troy Simmons, sculptor, just a really outstanding panel, taking a deep look into Miami's perfect partnership into this new era. I'm April Donaldson. I'm Senior Vice President of Hope Media Group. Again, looking forward to a great hour together, and big thank you to Alta Developers. Thank you so much. So Miami and its powerful real estate industry has truly been a game changer for the arts in the city. People all around the world now know the importance of having a home they love to live in, especially when having to quarantine for weeks or months on end. Art is the perfect addition to your home investment. It defines your sense of style, who you are, what you love. The impact of art is prevalent when observing the local Miami communities, Wynwood, the Arts District, the Miami Design District, Miami Beach and its Art Deco Historic District, with the architectural design that truly defines the streetscape of haute living. So today we have the tremendous opportunity to hear from these community leaders and learn how they've all grown from art personal or within their own organization, and what's new and upcoming with the perfect coupling of art and real estate. Thank you all again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Raimundo, we're going to begin with you, Principal and CEO of Alta Developers, a South Florida-based real estate development firm that's been involved in some of the most noteworthy additions to the South Florida real estate landscape, with current projects such as Eon Flagler Village, Pacifica Boynton Beach, Quadro at the Miami Design District, Neovita Doral, Vesta at Neovita Doral, and past projects such as One Paraiso, Le Parc at Brickell, Quantum on the Bay, Metropolis at Dadeland, amongst others. These properties have led the way for future developments in the areas and neighborhoods they reside in. With advanced aesthetics and technology, Alta Developers develops with a commitment to the environmental sustainability and cultural integrity, ensuring a continued stature as a landmark property in any given destination. Currently, Alta has developments emerging in neighborhoods throughout Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Boynton Beach, and beyond. Thank you, Raimundo, so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me, April.
Jessica, over to you. Jessica Goldman Suffolk is the CEO of Goldman Properties and founder of Goldman Global Arts. She is a second-generation leader of the company, founded by her late father, visionary real estate developer, tremendous gentleman, Tony Goldman. Goldman Properties is a 50-plus year company known for transforming urban areas into iconic neighborhoods such as Soho in New York City, Center City, Philadelphia, Miami Beach, and Wynwood. She oversees a diverse portfolio of restaurants, office buildings, a boutique hotel, commercial and retail properties, and large-scale public art projects, including the iconic Wynwood Walls. In 2015, she founded Goldman Global Arts with the goal of infusing creativity into the world in unexpected ways, curating art programs for Hard Rock Stadium, American Airlines Arena, Super Bowl 54, and most recently curated a national art campaign for When We All Vote to amplify the importance of voting. She published a book called Walls of Change and is most proud of her role as wife and mother of 3 teenage sons. Jessica, thank you so much for being here with us.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Over to Gary Nader. From his early career as the director of Nader Gallery of Santo Domingo and the Dominican Republic in 1981 to his move to the United States to set up a gallery specializing in Latin American art in Miami in 1985. Gary Nader has been determined not only to establish himself as an expert on Latin American art, but to disseminate information about this recognized and exciting area of art to expand the horizons of his artists and collectors. Today, Gary Nader Fine Art has become much more than just a gallery. It's one of the most important fine art galleries and the most extensive gallery in the world, with 55,000 square feet of exhibition space, with 3 components: Gary Nader Private Collection, the Exhibition Gallery, and the Sculpture Park. Situated in the heart of Wynwood, the new and renovated art district of Miami, it presents an extensive number of solo and group exhibitions showcasing a significant selection of works by well-known modern and contemporary artists worldwide. Gary, thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Over to Umberto Agraenda is an Italian-born, Miami-based freelance curator and environmental activist. Umberto brings more than 25 years of curatorial expertise with international practice across nonprofit institutions, commercial galleries, and art advisory pursuits with private clients. Since her move to the US in 1998, she has curated solo and group shows in Europe, the US, and Asia, collaborating with museums, art festivals, commercial galleries, and art fairs, as well as the 2006 Winter Olympics. She also contributes to various art publications and has written essays with several books and catalogs. Umberto employs a 360-degree competence in all aspects of the contemporary art world and has served across numerous boards, including IKT, the International Association of Contemporary Art Curators, Art Table Florida Chapter, and the Art in Public Places Committee for the City of Miami Beach. Umberto's passion for the Florida Waterways inspired Art Sale, a nomadic residency and research initiative that instigates creative and climate change inquiries. Amrita, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate
Thank you.
And last but not least, Troy Simmons, Texas-born, go Texas, Miami-based sculptor. His work reflects the Arte Povera movement and his use of common materials. Simmons's inspirations are drawn from his Texas childhood and explorations through the piney woods of East Texas. There he discovered a parallel between his upbringing in the Houston neighborhoods and the destructive yet necessary growth patterns of the Brachyphylla scindens plant. This formative encounter was the catalyst that sparked his ongoing interest in art, architecture, and nature. Simmons's more recent series, titled Perception, is the collaboration of unrestricted experiments with color, material, and structure. He uses common materials such as concrete, fabric, salvage wood, steel, and aluminum to create pieces that explore his thoughts on social behavior, identity, and our relationship with the built environment. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you, April. Happy to be here.
Again, it's really quite the group that we have assembled. So let's go ahead and begin with Amrita. Can you give us an overview of the evolution of art and real estate in Miami as a destination from your perspective?
Sure. So
You touched on this a little bit in the new COVID era.
absolutely. So just to set the context a little bit, I lived in New York before moving to Miami, and for about 10 years I was chief curator for a company called Art Assets. And what we were doing was working with real estate developers to deliver art programs for their properties. And so my experience and kind of my knowledge of working within the space really comes from this experience. When I moved to Miami, I kind of carried on that line of work, and I started to talk and approach and look at potentialities of collaborations with a variety of developers. And so this is really why I'm here today about and really talking about this. So I would think one of the key aspects that is unique to Miami is that most of the most prominent collectors here in Miami, and looking at Margulies and Rebels and Perez, are also real estate developers. And so I think this is really what informed and allowed the city to really merge these two forms and create neighborhoods and buildings where the art is completely interwoven and seamlessly integrated in this neighborhood and in these buildings. And so, since the mid-1980s, when Margulies created the Grove Isle Park, where it was really one of the first initiatives that brought private art collection within the public sphere. And so it allowed people to actually enjoy and be able to see art that otherwise would only be visible through galleries and museums. And we know that not everybody has access to this kind of venues and this kind of experiences. So I think that really started the trend of understanding how art is really bringing an element that goes beyond beautiful architecture and beautiful finish and beautiful design, because it connects to people and then to potential buyers at a very visceral and emotional level. And I think that was something that developers understood very early on, whether they were themselves collectors, and so they obviously had a personal interest and knowledge and potentially build their own private collections, or whether they just understood that art was really setting a building apart and enticing, again, potential clients to look at the properties and with the different sets of eyes. And so I think we've seen lots of examples of how this partnership can be successful. I would say, in my own view, and I know we'll get to this later, one of the most interesting part is when developers are able to work with local talents, and thrilled that Troy's here and Jessica's here, because obviously they'll be able to talk about their own collaborations, because I think it really is important to also, for the developer side, to show their support and their engagement with the local communities. And so I think some of the most successful examples are those that integrate local artists and local curators within the fabric of the developments and the buildings, so that there is a give and take, there is an exchange, there is a mutual beneficial partnership between the developers and the communities that they live within and they're serving.
Thank you so much, Umbretta. Touching on the real estate development side of Miami, Raimundo, who are you finding to be that's moving to Miami right now and buying into the buildings here?
What we've seen in the past is we have been buying in Miami. Obviously, it's been in a lot of foreigners. It's always been foreign buyers. We don't have local buyers buying condos and or real estate in condos mainly in Miami. So we usually have like 36 different countries buying in for example, in one project. So, and that's not changing. What is changing is that we're seeing a lot of buyers from New York, from Chicago, from Boston that are moving to this nice weather and a great city. So that's been the main change that I've seen in the trend of the sales of condos.
Thank you very much, Raimundo. Jessica, over to you. With Miami Art Week this year being mostly virtual, what does your participation look like this year for you and your organization?
So before I answer that question, would you mind if I just kind of tag along onto what Umbretta said? Because, I think that, her comments about real estate developers and art is really important, and collaboration is really important. And, we are real estate developers, but we are also advocates for art and artists and culture. And I think that it's really incredibly important for developers to look at the marriage of art and architecture in different ways and support it and be an example of it. And you see, I come from parents that were always embraced art. They were collectors, they were supporters, they were, and Gary is smirking a little bit because he knows my parents so well. And
love your parents.
Yeah. And so, but they walked the walk, right? And it wasn't just about buying the work. It was, it was about really finding projects for artists so that we could help to elevate their platform. And, artists are an extraordinary bunch. They are courageous. They have a way of amplifying what's happening during our, during all kinds of times. They question everything, and they allow people to have deeper conversations, on all kinds of topics. And so I just come from a father who embraced that in the biggest way. And I think it's really important moving forward for people to recognize how art really can change an environment. It can change a project. It can differentiate a project. It can bring people to a community that wouldn't have gone to that community. I very specifically remember my dad standing on Northwest 2nd Avenue, which is now called Tony Goldman Way. And this was in 2005. And he said, this is going to be the center for the creative class. And, and as far as what we're doing, to answer your question, Art Basel has done extraordinary things for our city, and we are forever, forever grateful for the fact that they have shown a light on, on Miami, time and time again. It was not unexpected that they would have to cancel. That's what we're dealing with, a lot of newness and having to be fluid. And so, but I think that we're a city that is 365 days a year. We are about art and we are about culture. And so, yes, it's going to be a quieter art week, but there's a lot to see online. There's still a lot to see in our city. And I think that you'll continue to see that way after, this week passes.
Jessica, thanks so much.
Mm-hmm.
Gary, what is the future of the collecting scene, both here and also in Latin America? And how do you find that art brings value to real estate projects here?
The sky's the limit, you know. When I came to the city, it was practically a few buildings, and I envisioned, and that's why I came here. When I told my father that I was moving to Miami, he said, "Why Miami? With your experience, you know your finances, you can go open in New York, open in LA or Paris." So because Miami is the future, and I want to grow. This was my vision when I was 18 years old already. I want to grow with the city, and I think Miami is going to become one of the most important cities in the world, and we're seeing it now. And a huge part of that is the art community. Any building can be beautiful, any building can be amazing, any building can be enticing, but the only difference is the art that you put in front of it or inside of it. It's the only that would make it a really difference. And I started doing this with Related 25 years ago, and we started putting Botero sculptures on the buildings outside, and it was amazing because nobody did that before. And people were really reacting, and the experience was beautiful. We did an Biennale of Sculptures. We put 47 monumental sculptures in Biscayne Boulevard. We did recently many shows outside, because you have to understand, the artist creates a piece. It's not for the collector, it's not for the few, it's for the more. And when you put it outside, specifically a monumental sculpture or an art piece or what amazingly our friends have done in Wynwood with the walls, it creates a different environment. It makes it for the more, not for the few. And that's what the artists want. And that's what the developer should also focus on, because buildings are getting known for the art that they have outside more than the own buildings. It's pretty, the marriage is pretty amazing, and it helps each other a lot. When it comes to local talent, like it was expressed before, it's hugely important that we support the local talent. We have great artists, like our friend here in the panel. I've seen his sculptures, magnificent artists. Congratulations. And a lot of people are moving in, and you know, it's the future of the city. It's what is going to make a difference. Buildings after building after building, yes, it's fantastic. The marriage of art and architecture and development is going to be a huge difference for our city. It's going to beautify our city. We just displaced 15 monumental sculptures before this pandemic on Lincoln Road, and we had 6 million people looking at them. I mean, the numbers are staggering. And like Jessica said, Basel, Art Miami, all these art fairs have created an environment for our city that is precious. We cannot take it for granted. And we're going to get back there. We're going to come back, and we're going to come back even stronger. Look at these amazing projects our friend here in the panel is doing. I mean, and he's including art in all his projects. Related. I just sold a huge 24-feet sculpture to Joe Milton Associates to place from Manolo Valdez. And the traffic is crazy in front of the building. Everybody stops to take a picture of the sculpture. Everybody get out of the car and take a picture, a selfie with the sculpture. And those scenes, it's what really entices us. I'm going even farther with this. My next project is to create a sculptural park for Miami, because it's amazing that this is one of the most gorgeous cities outside to be enjoyed. Look at the weather we have today. It's heavenly. And a sculptural park is much needed in our town. I'm in conversations with 6 very big developers to see which one will understand the project. And this, again, is the marriage of art and development. It's pretty positive for the city.
Yeah, can I add something to Gary's comments? I mean,
of course.
We've seen in the past, let's say 10 years, for 9 years, it's pretty amazing. And what the city has done with all the different cities, with all the garage enclosures, I think that's an amazing opportunity to bring art to the real estate. And they're pushing that through the design boards, but I think it's not enough. I think we need to push it even more. And we, I mean, every project has the budget, the money, and to create something different, and not just maybe a paint on meant to hide the parking garages that here in Miami we're forced to go up because of the water. So that's, I think those are big surface. I mean they're big exposure, and we need to keep continuing doing that with each project.
But that takes commitment from the developer, right? So, you know, you look at the garage on South Beach, you're like, that was one of our first garage projects, and we wrapped it in foliage. So you can't even see that it's a garage, you know, or the garage in Wynwood, which we became sculptural, or the garage that Craig did in the design district. I mean,
Celeste, Fabian Burgos, I mean,
you know, that has to be a commitment, and it takes more effort. It takes more money, but it adds to a community instead of being blight and instead of being something that's ugly. I think what we've learned is that anything can be a canvas, and so it's just a function of how we use that canvas. And yes.
Thank you. Troy, along the lines of what Jessica spoke on, Gary, Raimundo, Umbretta, when you as an artist go into a project, what are the two key components you utilize for a successful collaboration with a developer?
Oh, well, first of all, I would like to kind of fall back on to really express my excitement with the conversation with Gary and Raimundo. Jessica, we've had the conversation, we've talked, and we've done a project together, but to hear other developers that are kind of the same track and really thinking about moving in that direction, that is amazing. I mean, those are things that I had key points to think about or to speak of, you know, in the direction for, you know, that we should move in here in Miami. But I mean, it sounds like we're all in sync and moving in that direction anyways, because I mean, the city offers so much. I mean, the city has so many, it's such a melting pot of cultures, which leads itself to so many different artists, you know, coming with different ideas from different backgrounds and things that they've gone through and experiences they've had. And you bring that to this island of Miami, and it's just the platform for an amazing city, even more amazing than what it is now. I mean, and for the developers to already to think in that line, to move forward in that direction, it's just something that, you know, it thrills me. I'm excited to hear that. So thank you for that. As far as the question you're asking there, I think that, you know, the first thing that, you know, that the key points that, you know, we have to think about moving to these types of projects is that the artist has the ability to get in the project as soon as possible. I mean, it's a key point for the artist to be there during like schematic design phases, especially when we're thinking about, you know, development projects. It just gives the artist the opportunity and the developer the opportunity to learn each other and to really like understand the direction in which the project is moving in and the direction in which the artist's work can flow seamlessly into that. So I think it's something that we should, you know, really collaborate and move with together. So there's a screen share that came up, I'm not sure. So
Gary.
Yeah,
I don't know what my
I'm not sure.
Of my, I don't know what it's doing. It's going crazy.
It's not me.
I'm calling my IT person.
Okay, that doesn't. Beautiful family. So I'm not sure if that has.
I don't know what's going on. I apologize.
It's okay. It's a beautiful family, and I was like, that's not my project, but Gary, beautiful family, man.
Sorry.
No worries at all. That's great. Hey, we're live, so. But yeah, it's just one of those things. I really think that you know, as an artist, if we get involved with the project really early, I think it really can make the project into something amazing. Jessica and I, to kind of lean into the project we did together, it was kind of a, I guess I've been watching Wynwood grow like since 2008 when I arrived here in Miami. So I've been watching that location and learning and really like feeling what's happening in that neighborhood. You know, you have so much all around Wynwood. You know, you have Overtown just to the south. You know, you have Opalaka, Little Haiti. You have everything. You know, Alapata to the west, and then you have this you know, downtown just in just to the east of it. So it's just this location of what Wynwood is. It really created a balance of what my work and my practice is all about, in line with what the community is going through and what Jessica and her father and family have decided to move and make that neighborhood into. So I think if the earlier that an artist, again, gets involved with the projects and gets involved with what's going on with the developer and learn what's happening and what the direction the developer wants to lead into, the better the project's going to end out. So that's one of the key points I think we should move forward with. As far as artists, I mean, I like to give a key point out to artists. I mean, you know, learn the project and also learn some CAD work, learn how to read floor plans. So I want to give that to my artist community out there that may be listening. So that's one thing that really helps the relationship. I help the communication with the architect and the design team and the artist practice all move together with each other. So.
Can I make a comment? Can I just, sorry, can I share something about my collaboration with Troy, if you don't mind, April?
Of course.
You know, I had this incredible experience where I didn't know Troy. I hadn't seen his work before, and I saw an image on social media of his work, and I was flipped. I was obsessed. And I reached out to him and I said, I'd like to see your work in person. And I went and I visited him at his studio at the Bakehouse. And I looked at the work, and if you know Troy's work, it's this incredible marriage of art, of color, vibrant color, and concrete. And I thought to myself, this needs to be the facade of a building. And so, and I said to him, have you ever done the facade of a building before? And he said, no, but I am trained as an architect. And so literally, over the course of 2 years, he created 21 sculptural pieces that we essentially fit into the facade of the building. And it's glorious. And it literally started from an image and then I was moved by a paint, you know, his work, his sculptural, can't really call it a painting, but it's like his sculptural work. And then I'm like, you know what, I'll figure it out. I'll find a project. This work differentiates, and, you know, and he's local and he understands the kind of the scope and the environment in which he's putting his work into, and it totally differentiates. And so everybody knows Wynwood for being, you know, spray work. I want people to know Wynwood for being all kinds of work. And so I think if you're motivated, and so for me, this is like Wynwood 2.0. And so for me, I think if you are excited by somebody's work, there are always ways to find, there are always projects that you can find to incorporate great ideas, you know, super creativity, and differentiate your product. And it can be anything. It doesn't have to be a building. It can be anything. So I feel like I'm super, you know, incredibly lucky to have met Troy and have the opportunity to work with him. And I think that when people find their ways through Wynwood, you're going to see, you know, his project just screams out, you know, beauty and color and hope. So
well, thank you, Jessica. We're having a moment here, so thank you so much, Jessica.
Sorry.
I appreciate it.
Can we see
no,
it?
same here. I mean, I felt the same way with it. It's one of those you know, projects. Again, my practice, my studio practice was directly in line with the direction that was going in Wynwood. So we just so happened to meet at the right time, and everything just lined up with each other. And it's been an excellent excellent collaboration I've enjoyed so much. So I really appreciate it.
April, may I add something to something I think that's very important that both Jessica and Troy talked about? Quick insert. I would say as a curator who's been working a lot within this framework, I would say also from an artist perspective, flexibility is something that artists should really keep in mind and be open. Because obviously one thing is to create your own work in your studio as you know, private practice, and the other one, I see Jessica bobbing her head, it's to be out in the open in a public sphere and having to interface yourself with the developers and the architects and the designers, and liability issues and securities. You know, people can climb up or jump down. And having been on the Art in Public Places committee, that was for me a great learning experience to really understand the often strict parameters that you need to be able to work within, which really doesn't mean giving up the integrity of the project, the vision of the artist by any stretch. But it really calls for that collaboration. And I go back to what Troy said, the importance of being able to integrate the artist's vision with the architect and the developer's vision and the designer's vision from the very beginning when possible, because that really creates the seamless collaboration, which then results in successful project like the one that Jessica and Troy worked on.
I agree
Let me
100%.
say something. Look how the developer feels and the artist feel. And it relates also to the people who's going to go there and see that magnificent building with these magnificent pieces. It's perfect. It's perfect for everybody. Developers that have the sensibility to include art pieces in the projects create a better city, create a better environment for the people to go and see these buildings, to live in these buildings. It's a perfect marriage, like we've been saying, all of us together.
Yeah, I agree. You know, again, researching, you know, the artist, and for those, you know, developers who have artists that they admire or love or are interested in, reach out and like basically just make those relationships work, you know, as early as possible. And the artist knows they have to be flexible. And that's the other thing, you know, Jessica and I went through a lot of changes. You know, I had to make changes to my work to make sure it was, you know, accessible for the public and not too dangerous for the public, and, you know, liability issues and things like that. So yeah, I think as long as we're all on the same page and we start that relationship as a partnership early, that the project will be successful, and it'll be something that, you know, the community and the people who visit the city can love. So.
Yeah, let me add something. Let me share, if I may. I had a very similar experience with our one of the latest projects in Quadro Design District, and I was searching. The project was in process, then at the beginning, and was searching, and then I saw an amazing work in Chile in one project from my friend, architect, crazy guy, artist, sculptor, it's Francisco El Rio that is listening now, and we start working together then for more than 3 years, I think it was, and trying to put something together. And the unique thing that we did here in this project was that I gave Francisco the entire project, not the lobby, not the murals, not me, just I told Francisco, I want to create something spectacular, something that stays forever, something that I can that the people that are going to live there can feel it and they will love it. So that was what we did in Quadro was we work on an entire theme throughout the entire project, from the murals, from the drop off with this gold school fish with more than 500 pieces, this hanging pieces on the seaweed hanging on the lobby that you see behind me, and every single floor we have the coral reef inspirations and the door numbers. I mean, everything it's just one piece of art installation. and we did it, and it wasn't easy because the code and the issues, engineering, and you know that, and you're laughing. But it's there, and it's our contribution basically to the city and to the Miami Design District that and along with related, they're being the most pioneers in this new trend in the city. So I love it.
While still preserving such authenticity, and that's what I want to speak a little bit more on. Umberta, over to you, expanding on that. I know you touched on it a little bit as well, but how do you find that you can keep art in real estate where it maintains its authenticity, its organicness, while not becoming too commercial like? And what do you feel, talking about all these great developments, great developers here with us, what do you feel are the best projects that are combining both art and real estate?
Well, I would say we definitely touched upon, I think, the key aspects of keeping that relationship true to its nature and authentic, and that is the collaboration. So really bringing in artists from the very beginning, understanding each other's vision. Something that I would love to see more developers work on is also about engaging the community in terms of experiential situations. So obviously, it's great to be able to commission an artwork or to purchase an artwork to place in your building, but I think there is a lot to be said about organizing programming that can happen not just during Art Week, but throughout the year, that can really engage the artists and the community of creatives that are local to benefit the tenants or the owners of the building and the community that lives in that building. I mean, something that I'm working on, for example, with a developer here in Miami and who's very interested in ocean conservation is to create a series of engagement with artists that could be from artistic exhibitions in their sales office and eventually in the building itself to panel discussions, whether it's online like this one or in person. And, beach cleanups, it doesn't necessarily always need to involve art, but I think it's interesting to understand how these experiences can also enrich, the life of the community and obviously benefit both the artists and those who live in those buildings. And if I may share my screen, I'm just going to go through and answer your second question. Do you guys see the PowerPoint? Perfect. So there are tons of amazing projects in Miami, and I have to say I on purpose did not include Wynwood and Quadro because we obviously have representatives here are talking about Jessica's and Raimundo's project. But this is a project that I find very successful. And again, talking about a collaboration with the local galleries, Anthony Spinello. This is 250 Wynwood that Fortis Development Group unveiled in 2015. With artists from Miami who created these murals, and each floor is different. This is something that we spoke about. Related obviously has been, as Raimundo said, one of the pioneers who's really worked on integrating art and real estate. This is the fantastic Fabian Burgos for the SLS Brico in, this is a night shot. And obviously what I also love about Related, and I think it's something that I would love to see more developers do, is that they create a brochure for each single project. So people, whether they're the tenants and the owners or people that are just simply curious, can actually understand and really learn about the art and the artists that have been commissioned and purchased for the buildings. This is something that I actually worked when I was advising a Miami-based gallery to do projects with developers. It's something that we did with Key International at 1010 Brico. We commissioned artist Michael Loveland to do a huge wall drawings with some paintings, and commissioned also another artist, Loris Cecchini, for a lobby installation. Unfortunately, I cannot find a good image for that, so I wasn't able to include that. This is another Related building on South Beach, One Ocean. This is Michelle Ocadona, yet another Miami artist who's been living in New York for years, and many of you may have seen the also the floor installation that she did for the Miami airport. And these are two other projects in the same building that related Pablo Siqueira and Marcus Lindenbrook. I have to say, sorry, and this is the last, Terra Group, another group that has been very engaged with working with local artists and local art consultants to select works. This is something that they did for the Grove and Grand Bay. They had a really big budget, so they were able to work with important artists like Pay White and Olafur Eliasson, for example. And I'm going to stop my share screen here. But again, I think there's just too many to mention. But definitely, as Raimundo said, I think we're setting the pace for this partnership to grow and be bigger and better. And I'm looking forward to see what else is coming up in the future.
Thank you so much.
Fantastic.
Roberta. Talking about the future, Gary, what are you the most excited to see this year?
Well, you know, we're going to come back to a new reality, and artists are very well in touch with this. And, you know, it's going to be challenging times. I think it's going to be good for us. I think Miami is growing. I am very positive. I'm a very positive person anyhow, but Miami is unstoppable. South Florida is completely unstoppable. What makes a difference today is that a lot of people have realized that their time is really precious. And the day-by-day living is more important than not only living in a big city that offers so many things, but living comfortably. And developers understand that. And people from, especially older people that have the means to buy. If you look at what is selling in Miami today, I mean, I have friends calling me from all over the world because they cannot find a great house, even to rent, to spend a few weeks here. As everybody know, a lot of people know, not everybody, I'm sorry. I am developing a museum with, you know, a development. And I got this idea some 30 years ago, say, imagine if you can live inside your own museum. Because, you know, we have a museum, the Nader Museum, with, and sometimes I feel like sleeping there. I don't want to leave the, I don't want, the only thing that makes me come home is my wife and my children, but I could easily sleep there and be very happy. So I see Miami growing. I see Miami getting more involved in the arts. You have to understand something, and that's what people don't know. Why there are not some of the greatest galleries in the world, when there are galleries that have 10, 12, 15 venues all over the world, and they're not in Miami. And I'm talking about Pace and Gagosian and Perrotin and galleries like that. You have to understand, you know, Miami is a very young city. We are 110, 112 years old. These other huge cities that have all these museums and all these cultural components are hundreds and thousands of years old. So Miami has grown exponentially, physically, but there's a lot to do when it comes to art. And that's what makes it exciting. That's what makes it beautiful. You know, you don't want to be in a city that has everything already done, and anything you do is like something else. Artists like Troy that comes and do the scenes for the city, and developers like Jessica and our dear friend here, it's enticing for them because this is new also for the city. And that's what I see. The sky is the limit. Miami is going to grow exponentially when it comes to art, and more galleries are going to move in now because more important collectors are moving in. You have to see the amazing space and that the Rubel just opened. Across from it, Pace Gallery is opening an interactive space of 50,000 square feet that expect to be visited by 1 million people. I'm getting involved in that project with them. And, you know, very simple. It's a lot to be done, and it's going to be exciting. I couldn't be any happier to be here. I wouldn't go anywhere else. This is the best city in the world.
The Magic City. Thank you so much, Gary.
Magic. Completely magic.
Yep.
And especially for the people that we have here, like your panel. I mean, we have so many
Incredible.
interested people coming into Miami, cultural interested, fashionable interested, having a good life, getting involved in the community, helping the environment, and raising our children, because you know, this is the most important. I wouldn't raise my children anywhere else. My children are so happy in Miami, you know, that I'm trying to buy houses around me so I can have them next to me for the rest of my life.
Not gonna happen.
Yeah. You know, the more I speak about Miami, and I'm gonna finish with this, I've been traveling all over the world for the last 35 years. And it was very funny because, you know, I was living in Paris when Botero did his first huge exhibition of monumental sculptures in Champs-Élysées, and there were people in the streets at 3 a.m. There were thousands of people looking at the sculpture. So, you know, and I used to tell people, where do you really live? Now you live in Paris, but where is your home? I said, Miami. And people would look at me like, Miami? And for many years in you know, in Monte Carlo, in St. Petersburg, everywhere I go, people will look at me like, Miami. And now you say, where do you live? I live in Miami. Oh, I love Miami. I want to be in Miami. I want to go to Miami. You're so lucky.
Yeah.
And yes, we are.
That's true.
So goddamn blessed. We're very
We're all
blessed.
blessed.
This is
We're
an
all
amazing
blessed.
city. This is an amazing city.
One of the most amazing cities in all of the world. And I know everyone here feels so fortunate to live here. Troy, kind of moving along these lines, coming out of a COVID era into the future, what long-term impacts do you foresee in the art world from having gone through this era? We've touched on it a little bit, but from your perspective.
Yeah, again, I think that we're going to move outside even more. And again, that lines up with you know, the beautiful weather we have here in Miami. I think that, you know, the museums, the sculpture parks, like Gary spoke about. I mean, I think that's the future. I think, you know, public installations outdoors, public installations, you know, around the city, incorporated into real estate, like we're speaking of, more so sculptural parks, you know, just outdoor venues that really just bringing everything outdoors. And again, that lines up with the weather here. And I think that's just the future for Miami and the future for most venues, you know, so I think that's the direction we're moving in.
Thank you, Troy. Jessica, looking ahead, what do you hope to see more of in regards to art and real estate in the future?
Well, I hope to see health first and foremost. I hope to see no pandemic and a healthy economy and healthy people and wiser people, you know, that we all come out of this stronger and better and more appreciative of everything, all the beautiful things that we all have. So that's my wish, my hope for the future. You know, as far as real estate and art, I hope to see more of a marriage. I think that, you know, I'm aware of a number of really incredible projects, large scale projects that are, you know, that you'll see, you know, happen over the course of the next couple of years. You'll see the Wynwood Walls evolve into a 2.0 version. You know, with extensive programming and extensive collaborations with other institutions and, you know, and more of a focus on educational components. I think that you know, we live, as Gary said, in a magical city that since I've been coming, you know, I first came to Miami when my dad came here in, you know, so when I was 16 years old, and this city has completely morphed into a global, international, magnificent city. And we're not done yet. And I think people are really appreciating it now more than ever. And I think that art has solidified its place in our city. Culture has solidified its place in our city. And I think that the appreciation of that has taken a strong hold and will so moving forward, and that will only make for, you know, a more inclusive, a more welcoming, more beautiful community that's appreciated by people all over the world. So I think there are good things ahead. 2021 couldn't come fast enough, and I'm really excited about what we have ahead of us.
Thank you so much, Jessica. I have a final question over to Umbretta before we open up and do a few audience questions. Umbretta, the Bass Museum recently launched an exhibition that promotes art therapy during this COVID era. How do you feel art aids anxiety and stress, and what are some other trends that you are going to see emerge at the intersection of art and real estate that you foresee?
Well, first, about the art and therapy. So it is interesting. I mean, I know art is therapeutic for me and probably for most people here on the panel because we're just so used to live with art. And as I said, when I started going again to museums and galleries, I realized there's nothing like being in the presence of art and artists. That, you know, this mediated look, it's not nearly as impactful. But I think, you know, what the Bass did, for example, they had planned an exhibition and then realized they couldn't quite implement it in the way they had envisioned. And so they kind of had to do a quick pivot. And, you know, the artist, Abraham Cruz Villegas, is someone who's been working with, you know, getting communities engaged in many of these projects. So the MO was not far from sort of the way he usually works, but he decided to do installation outdoors, working with plants that also have you know, some therapeutic and medicinal properties, and to really think about enabling people to experience this installation, also embedded performers to sort of recreate the sounds of birds, to immerse people in an environment without forcing them to go indoors, and yet giving them the possibility to experience art and, you know, creativity at its highest level. And I think that's something that you know, we've seen done often. There was a recent article on the New York, on the Wall Street Journal, actually, about art and therapy and how museums have kind of pivoted or implemented measures of you know, being able to help the attendees and the public with COVID. And more than that, I mean, the Montreal Museum, I'm just looking at some notes from this article. The Montreal Museum of Fine Arts has actually had visits to the museum as part of therapies that doctors have been given to patients to cure diabetes and stress and hypertension. So art and therapy is something that is not new. I mean, it has been developed since the beginning of the century, 1940s and 50s. That's when it really started to be recognized at a clinical level. But I think now there is more than ever an understanding about how art can heal us all. By even just being in an environment that is creative and that is not judgmental, and that allows us to tap at a very visceral and emotional level into the creativity that artists bring to us. And I would say that art can be experienced not just by going to a museum. I think one of the richest experience that I have, and for myself, and often when I bring groups and clients, is to go to artist studios. So it's something that I always encourage, is for people to really be able to connect with the artists and understand sort of the behind the scene. There's nothing like being able to understand how an artist does what they do. That I think makes you appreciate their, you know, their courage and the fact that they're really putting themselves out, and just enable us to be part of this incredible, you know, creative juice that that they have. And in terms of sort of where we're going from here, as we said at the beginning, I think the virtual online components is definitely something that's going to be staying for the long term. I think even once museum and galleries and arts institutions open at full capacity, they will maintain these kind of activities, because I think it has enabled them to reach a much greater community, a much wider audience. And so there's probably going to be a parallel set of activities, both in person and online. And again, in terms of the sort of the real estate community, just as I was saying before, and I'm really happy to hear Jessica saying that there is also an interest and openness towards education and outreach program from the developer side, and I think is as equally as important as commissioning artists and purchasing art for their buildings and their communities.
Can I just add something about art and mental health? I actually really genuinely believe that art is critical to mental health. You know, art kind of extends beyond language, it extends beyond education, it extends, anybody can enjoy it. And so I think that art allows us to make connection, like on a very human level. and art makes us feel. And so, when you're dealing with issues of mental health, you're dealing with struggles. And I think that art enables people to feel and connect. And that is, one of the most important elements in a healthy mind, healthy life. So I would say that it's not something that is like an extra. It's actually something that is essential.
It's a necessity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, a lot of times, in my practice, it's an expression of, of my own personal struggles and my own personal things that I'm going through.
Sure.
And my work is therapy for myself. And it creates that, that humanistic element there that you can relate to. And so when you're going through something and the work is produced from that thing you're going through, that it actually coincides and relates to other people's struggles that they're going through that you don't even know about. So it's kind of like this element that's kind of like put out there that you can all relate to on it without it actually being said verbally. So it kind of comes out through the work. So when it's out in the public element, it just reaches much more people. So it's definitely an essential, something that needs to be out that people can really relate to and really see and really feel. So
let me add something, please, if I may. Through my career and through my own experience, and I do it with my children since they were born, people have to understand that it's extremely, extremely, extremely important. I emphasize extremely, to involve your children in the art world.
Yeah.
Involve them in anything they might find enticing. Music, architecture, painting, sculpture, something. You're gonna create a better person. You're gonna create a more human person. When people develop a taste for beauty and a passion for art, their approach to their own community and their own lives and their own family is completely different. Art is the soul of a community, period. And I'm not saying this because of my own experience, it's because I see it. People tell me, but I have my son with me, my little kids with me today. I cannot come and say, what? Come with your little kids. That's what I do this for. I want to see little kids. You know what is amazing? Yeah. When a little kid stands in front of a monumental sculpture and you see their faces, it's like, my job is done.
I couldn't agree more.
You have to involve your children in the art world, and you're gonna create a better human being for your family, for themselves, and for the community. They really get involved and they really help each other when they have that sensibility since they're little.
I agree with that 100%. And also, I come from a background that I wasn't exposed to art early. I was creating things not knowing about the art world. So I was creating something, again, for my own therapy. But, I come from a family in a background that, we're a working class family. The only museum I ever went to was the San Jacinto Monument. And that's in Texas, a battleship. So I didn't really know about the fine arts. So, I mean, even opening up to the community in general that may not have experience with the arts is something that we have to focus on also. Meaning bringing the kids out, but bringing those families out to explain to them, like, this is, giving them a history lesson on what the arts are, making it accessible to specifically the location that I'm in with Jessica. I mean, that means a lot to me because of where it's placed. I mean, you have Overtown, you have Alapata, you have all these locations, all these communities right there that can just walk over and see this. They can see all of this without being in the element that you feel uncomfortable in. You can just walk down the street in your own neighborhood and really see something that's created by someone from some land you've never even heard of before. So it's just, it's something where I really think the element of bringing everything outside for the kids and for the community is just something that we have to really focus on and really, put those lessons out there and tell those stories of what the arts are about. And, Jessica, that's something we're working on also is like, making sure that we have the stories of why those paintings are on the walls, so that the community can walk up and learn about it without having to access or go through, the internet, which they may not have, or just having some elements of engagement so that they can understand what's happening in those neighborhoods around them, why those paintings are on the wall. And again, it's great for, a learning lesson for the children, but also a learning lesson for the people in the community there that may not have exposure to the museums. again, I didn't go to New York to see any museums or any galleries or anything like what I'm experiencing here in Miami until I actually moved into this area. And that was in 2008. I went to New York for the first time, like in 2000, I'm sorry, in like, what was it? I was 32 the first time I went to a museum. So, you know, I'm creating this work, but I'm like, wow, you know, it's just this world that opens up. And again, children are one thing, but just people who don't, you know, have the ability to get to the big museums is another thing. So, you know, I'm really excited about what's happening here in Miami. Again, you know, it's such a melting pot of everyone, you know, from different backgrounds and cultures, and it's bringing it all right here. And so when people come down and visit and they're able to walk around and go to the museums, like, you know, Gary Nader's New York place, go to Windward Walls, go to the Margulies collection, go to the Rubels. I mean, it's just a lesson.
Fantastic.
Again, I want to bring up Margulies collection because he is, I saw him as a developer in Aventura back when in 2008, when everything was crashing. And I know he used his collection to build a development there, like one of the last developments that was built, you know, right before the crash of 2008. And I was really like blown away by his collection. And to come down and see this little gem that he has right down the street from my studio, it's an amazing thing. So anyways, it's just it's one of those things. Is art does heal, art does help communities, art does open, you know, people's eyes, and it's just you know, Miami again is set up for the future. Again, like you said, Gary, it's the future of
Guys,
where we should be.
Such a great group, so much great content. I really want to get to audience questions because I know we're limited with time with each of you. And again, just great content from each one of you. So thank you so much. Raimundo, we have an audience question. I'm going to move over to you. Does art inspire a real estate project, or does the project inspire the art?
No, I think it worked together. Definitely works. It works totally together. From like we mentioned before, it's you need to start from the beginning of a project to make an art and the project successful. I think both totally works together.
Thank you, Raimundo. Does anyone have anything they'd like to add?
I agree 100%. You know, it's definitely a collaboration, you know, together.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it has to be. I have a series of work that's kind of like flowing that I've been working on, and I applied for a project because I felt like the project that they were doing in this development with Bombardier at Opa-locka Airport in the city of Miami, felt like it was in line with what my sculpture, or with the pieces I was working on, was going for. So the project actually was in line, and it balanced itself out together. So it goes both ways. Same with Jessica's project. It was just a balance. It worked together.
But if you
no
do
egos,
have,
no egos. I mean, it has to be like that. It's totally
if you do
collaboration,
have
like choice.
oh, sorry.
No,
I was
go ahead,
going to say, if you do have, you know, if the project, for whatever the reason, is on a faster track than incorporating the artist, I think that there are ways to make sure that you have big canvases. You might not know who the artist is yet, but there, you know, but you can have the thought process of, okay, well, let's have, you know, let's hold this space for sculpture, or let's incorporate some incredible lighting element that can be very sculptural over here, or let's make sure that we separate the windows so we have very big expanse for, you know, big empty wall space for, you know, potential murals or paintings. And then I just want to go back for 1 second about exposing the next generation of people to this love of art. You know, art is food, art is dance, art is music, art is theater, art is museums, art is galleries, art is public art. There are tons of different ways to kind of incorporate creativity into the minds of our young people. Art is social media. You know, and someone asked the question about, you know, where, you know, how do you recommend someone starting who's interested in learning more about the arts? I would say explore your communities and explore social media and find images, find artists, find, you know, whether it's magazines, you know, whatever it is that excite you. And, you know, and you can start anywhere, right? I started with photography. I love photography. You know, you can start with prints, you can start with street art, you know, stickers. You know, it's just a function of kind of what Gary said about developing your taste for beauty, and that can come in all forms. And so I think as parents, you know, one of my, like Gary said before, we walked into a house the other day, I was with my kids, and there was it was beautifully furnished and not a stitch of art on the walls.
I would have walked.
Well, I didn't walk out, but you know, but my son, my 16-year-old said to me after we left, he goes, Mom, I can't believe how art makes such a difference in warming a house. And I was like, oh yes, I did a good job. So, but yes, I agree that, you know, there is a lot of options and a lot of places to expose not just our children, but, you know, but all kinds of other people.
Jessica, thanks so much. You actually beautifully answered an audience question. And where do you recommend for someone to begin? Thank you. Gary, I'm going to move over to you. So this question comes from Alex Vito. When you look back at the history of art and real estate in Miami, like MIMO and Art Deco, how do you translate that into modern day real estate design and architecture, where you have timeless design, which is unique to Miami and its culture, which is now a melting pot?
This was what makes it fantastic. Like Troy said, we have so many beautiful neighborhoods that have been getting developed lately. And if everybody involves this, you know, idea that you have to include art in everything they do in development, is what's going to make a difference. The transformation has been good. It's been fantastic. It's been, you know, we accomplished a lot of things. Once again, we are a very young city. We are a very young city. And more and more people are realizing that involving art in your projects, it's really important. Look what is happening in the Miami port. The CEO of Norwegian Cruise Lines bought a lot of amazing pieces from us for his high-end cruises. And they're building a cruise terminal there. So he was going to put a mural of an artist that he painted one of his boats. I said, that has nothing to do with Miami. Let's do something different. Let me create an award. Let me, you know, called a public award for an artist to create this mural for you from the local artists. And he was like, this is fantastic. So we create an award. We're going to award $100,000 for artists to paint this mural. We receive 180 artist submissions. We are under 20 finalists. And one of those 20 is going to be announced very soon. He's going to paint this mural. And we're going to do this every year. So it's not only developments in you know, these cities, it's always something else to do. And this transition that we're going through is just fantastic. The transition is just fantastic. Lady has done an amazing work. Raimundo is doing an amazing work. Terra is doing an amazing work. Russell Galwood just came to see me, and he's want to include art in every project that he's doing now. And every developer is going to understand that people really enjoy doing this, and they enjoy it themselves. Raimundo, look at what he did. He saw one of his artists in Chile, and he brought him to do. He gave him a canvas, you know, whole building as a canvas. Yeah. That's a dream story for an artist, and it's going to keep happening. The transformation, it's going to keep happening for the better, for the much better for our city and our community.
Thank you, Gary. Raimundo, along those lines, are you looking to incorporate art into any upcoming projects? Do you foresee you will consider local artists that you haven't worked with before?
Yeah, that's a question that sounds familiar.
I have a
Yeah, I
couple
mean,
things with you.
what's happening in real estate right now here in Miami, and I think around the US, is that the multifamily projects are becoming like such as high end or such as good as the condos. So, and that's totally totally new. So yes, I mean, I think nowadays on our multifamily projects, we're gonna incorporate arts, local artists. I mean, everything, because people are not buying, people are renting. So, and that's gonna keep forever. So we need to keep doing art and doing these installations in our projects. And I think those type of projects that are, I mean, they're super sophisticated right now. And every single project is better than the other one. And they have in 10 blocks, we have 5 different projects, like in Edgewater. In Edgewater, we added, I think, like 3,000 units in the past 3 years. And with huge projects like that of course they can afford, having art installations or beautiful artists involved in those projects. So yes, the answer is yes, definitely yes.
Thank you, Raimundo. Retta, over to you. Looking at the history, you know, the roots of art here in Miami and looking ahead to the future, what do you foresee for the future pulling from that root history?
You know, as Gary said, I mean, we are such a young city, and yet I think we have a really strong history, you know, rooted into this melting pot of culture that has been, I think, really the staple that we are building on. So I think it's really about taking full advantage of the continuous influx of artists that are coming from all parts of the United States and other parts of the world that are coming to Miami to take advantage of what Miami has to offer to them. You know, New York has gotten so expensive. We have so many artists actually moving down because they realize this is actually where they have that ability to still create with some, you know, some kind of freedom. And I would say, you know, again, with this ability now to reach out to the 4 corners of the planet through online and virtual platform, I think we can keep thinking about getting inspirations and getting, you know, potential projects and collaborations that are for Miami-based artists, for international project, and vice versa. A little bit what Gary was talking about, the collaboration with the cruise lines. I mean, that's something that I'm really trying to do, is to enable Miami-based artists to shine outside of Miami as well. We have such an incredible talent here that I think it deserves to be known outside of our city and our state. So that's something that I think curators, I mean, I brought a congress of curators for the IKT International Association about 1.5 years ago to Miami. And that was really one of the main goals, was for people to understand that Miami is active 365 days a year. As Jessica was saying, we just don't come alive that one weekend.
Oh, looks like Retta froze a little bit. Troy, I'm going to jump over to you. This is the final question, and we're going to move to close out. I know a lot of our panelists have to jump. What were some of the challenges that you ran into in developing?
Continue to do what we do.
Retta, apologies. You froze. So we're jumping over.
I'm so sorry. Are you guys seeing me now?
Yeah.
Yes, no worries, but we're going to jump over to Troy, and
go ahead.
We actually have to close out. We're almost half an hour over our time limit. Incredible conversation, wow. Just incredible panelist. Troy, just very quickly touch on some of the challenges that you encountered with these incredible walls that you put up.
Well, I mean, again, we came in so early that it was, I would say, pretty seamless, honestly. I mean, Jessica, she pretty much gave me, you know, she showed me floor plans, and I basically took took my work and incorporated it into, you know, her building. And I used my materials, the raw concrete, the color palette, the play in material and juxtaposition of the concrete against the smooth surfaces. I mean, Jessica was really easy to work with. I mean, I can't really give you too many challenges. I mean, you know, obviously when you approach a project like this, you have to be able to give and take, and you have to be flexible. And you know, it worked really well. I mean, I had a few. I gave about 4 or 5 ideas, and she told me what she liked, and where I was willing to budge, we budged, and we just made the project work.
That was
you know,
that
it's
seamless.
yeah,
Jessica,
it was pretty seamless.
Jessica, the DNA, the whole history, everything that you've done here in the community, I wouldn't expect anything less. And I just want to go back and say, every single person on this panel, wow, what an incredible conversation. And we're certainly looking forward to sharing all of this with our readers here at Hope Living and our brand followers. And we've been streaming it live as well. So thank every single person for being here with us today on behalf of Hope Living, Hope residents. And you are all such leaders and visionaries in our community. Continue all the great work that you're doing. Everyone stay healthy and safe. Lots of love to your families, and hope to see you all very soon. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
bro.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Happy holidays,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Jessica, big kiss to your mommy.